Did you know that it can take up to 9 months for a lemon to ripen? I know what you're thinking. Rohan, what the heck does this have to do with living in LA? Bear with me. 9 months ago, when Pavan and I moved here, we planted a mini lemon tree on our balcony. I've always wanted my own lemon plant, and I was very excited for these lemons. Needless to say, when I found out the maturation time, I was kind of shocked and a little disappointed. It seemed like forever. But it wasn't. That time flew by, and here we are 9 months later. I've learned a lot along the way. It's January 2025, and I thought as we go into the new year here, might as well share 5 lessons I've learned living as a creative in Los Angeles. And while I do that, I'll probably make some lemonade, do some housekeeping, and prep for the new year. Lesson 1. Being in LA helps, but simply being isn't enough. So I think any creative who's ever considered moving to Los Angeles has at some point told themselves, when I move to LA, my career is going to take off. I'm going to get the jobs I want. I'm going to get the opportunities. And there's some truth to that statement because the opportunities that are found here are truly like no other. But the thing is, moving here is literally just the first step. Nobody knows you're here. You got to advertise that. You got to scream it from the rooftops, develop relationships in order for those opportunities to actually materialize. Now, one step I took this year to make sure that actually happened was attend events. I went to VidCon, VidSummit, and multiple creator meetups here in the city. Those are all great first steps, but the second layer to that is maintaining the relationships with the people you actually meet at those events, following up, going out of your way to actually hang out together, collaborating with them. And slowly but surely, those bonds will start to form into opportunities. But more than anything else, the one thing that you need to focus on doing is showing your work. And that's something I've kind of been lacking in. That leads us into lesson 2. Without priorities, you'll do a lot without getting much done. So it goes without saying that LA is a city with a lot going on. And yes, a lot of those things are opportunities, but they could just as easily be distractions. So whether it's just going out to play a game of pickleball, or getting some great food, or going to a cool event or a movie premiere, I mean, all amazing things, right? But at the end of the day, unlimited things to do and your limited time. It takes focus, it takes discipline, and you need to know what to say yes and no to so that you have the time to get done what truly matters to you. And in 2025, for me to get done what I want to get done, that means serious priority on showing my work online. All right, that was a quick one. What do you say before we get into lesson 3, we go check out these lemons? Looking good, looking good. You might be wondering, by the way, Rohan, why in the world are you so obsessed with citrus fruits and this lemon tree? The thing is, we go way back, right? Like, I was one of those kids who was always biting into lemons and limes at the end of meals. And funny enough, actually 3 years ago when I came to visit my friend Sachin in LA and I stayed with him, he had an apartment with a huge lemon tree in the backyard. And I used to go out and just grab the lemons that I wanted. I made lemonade once, and I just thought it was the coolest thing that was something we could just do. So when we moved to LA and the climate was right, of course, I had to get one. And shout out Pavan's parents for actually going and getting this, but also planting it for us. It's seriously appreciated. Anyways, today is a special day for us. And folks, of course, when life gives you lemons, we got to make some lemonade. So let's go do that and talk about lesson number 3. Increased time in the sun will make you surprisingly more joyful, but it's far too easy to accidentally spend your days indoors. All right, so shout out Pavan for setting up this aesthetic shot here. Let's make some lemonade. So as we get into this, obviously LA, it's a warm place with lots of sunshine. We got lemons growing, and I think people expect that. But the thing is, it's even better than expected, especially coming from a place like Michigan. You know, Pavan and I live 10 minutes from the beach. Despite that, we go maybe 3 times a month. And if you think that's bad, I know people in LA who go maybe 3 times a year.
Delicious.
That just goes to show that the outdoors are right there. But it's really easy to not take advantage of them unless you make time for it. Okay, that was quick too. Let's go to lesson 4. Getting around LA is not for beginners. If you want to keep your sanity, planning based on location is a must. So by now, you've definitely heard how long it takes to get places in LA. And to be honest, there's a lot of truth in that, depending on where you're going and at what time. And this, my friends, is what I mean by planning based on location. You see, I've become an expert at using Google Maps, and there are features that I use every day now that I didn't even know existed when I first moved here. There's just certain times a day to be going places and certain times a day to be completely avoiding it. And if you're gonna be making a long drive, best believe you're doing multiple things on the way there and on the way back. And if you follow this advice, driving won't feel completely terrible in the city, but you are gonna start to feel like 20 minutes is a short drive. Be warned. Here we go, 2 lemonades.
Wow, thanks.
All right, we're in the home stretch now. Let's go to lesson 5. The universal struggle is very real, and it's both motivating and comforting. So as Pavan and I prepare for the year ahead and enjoy some lemonade, I really wanted to talk about this, and there's a reason I saved it for last. I think this just might be the single biggest benefit of living in a city like LA for somebody who is a creative in pursuit of their passions. Basically, what I'm trying to say is it's extremely valuable to have so many people around you who are either doing something very similar to what you're doing or pursuing passions of their own and working just as hard, if not harder. And everybody is suffering from the cost of living in this city, and they're all trying to grind their way out of it together. So there's something just very motivating about that, very inspiring, and there's really nothing like it. Okay, so I know I said 5 lessons, but I do have some honorable mentions. I'll keep it quick. 1. It's easy to forget that you're in a big city. LA has all sorts of neighborhoods and it's spread out pretty far. So even though you're in one of the biggest cities in the world, you can have everything from, really popular destinations full of tourists to quaint, quiet streets where you kind of forget where you're at times. I think that's pretty cool. 2 is that the people in this city are nicer than you might think. The internet makes out people from LA to be fake and full of themselves, and while I'm sure there's plenty of those people here, majority of people I run into are really quite nice and genuine. And on that note, I'm sure you've heard about the fires happening in LA. It's a tragedy. It's literally 2 weeks later and these things are still going. But it has been incredible to see this city come together in support. I've seen firsthand at some of the volunteering events just how many people have been showing up and how many things have been gathered in support of the individuals displaced from their homes. And it's incredible to see. And if that doesn't prove that people here are kind, I don't know what does. Speaking of that, I've got some links down below. If you've got any money to spare, the people of this city could really use your help. Thanks.